Here are today's top stories. The family of a fifth Dengvaxia-related fatality files criminal charges against health officials. President Duterte urges the Senate to certify as urgent its end of endo bill. Suspected narco politicians are reported to be running for barangay posts this year. And the Philippine and U.S. military begin this year's Balikatan exercises. Good day, I'm William Theo.
And I'm Pia Roses Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom.
Health Secretaries Francisco Duque III and Jeanette Garin are facing new charges over the Dengvaxia controversy.
This comes after another fatality surfaces among those inoculated by the anti-dengue vaccine. Here's our report.
The family of 13-year-old Abby Hedia filed the fifth criminal complaint before the Department of Justice against Health Secretary Francisco Duque, former Health Secretary Janet Garin, and 35 others with the help of the Public Attorney's Office, or PAO. PAO Chief Presida Rueda Acosta filed complaints for reckless imprudence resulting in homicide and violations of Anti-Torture Act against Duque, Garin, and 35 others. Vaccine manufacturer Sanofi Pasteur and distributor Zuellig Pharma Corporation were also included as respondents. The PAO filed the charges after its forensic teams established that all 5 victims died of organ failures that could be attributed to the vaccine. The National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, is also looking into the possible liability of former President Noynoy Aquino and former Budget Chief Florencio Abad, who approved the funding of the immunization program. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Vice President Leni Robredo wants the Presidential Electoral Tribunal to reverse its ruling that invalidated ballots in the vice presidential race with votes shaded less than 50%. Here is our report.
Vice President Leni Robredo on Thursday asked the Supreme Court, sitting as a Presidential Electoral Tribunal, to reverse its April 10 ruling denying her motion in connection with the recount of the votes for the 2016 vice presidential race. The PET denied Robredo's plea to apply the 25% threshold as set by the COMELEC in the revision, recount, and reapplication of the ballots in order to expedite the proceedings for lack of merit. Although the voters are told through the voter information to fully shade the ballots, the shading threshold was set by the COMELEC at 25% of the oval space. But the tribunal said any shading less than 50% shall not be considered a valid vote. Marcos spokesman Attorney Vic Rodriguez said Robredo should stop accusing the PET of systematically reducing her votes and casting doubts meant to belittle its integrity. Rodriguez said the rules of the tribunal shall apply in the recount. He claimed that the 25% threshold rule was a ploy orchestrated by then COMELEC Chairman Andres Bautista to favor Robredo once revision process starts. The PET, meanwhile, found Robredo's claim of a systematic reduction of her votes without basis and shows a misunderstanding of the revision process. Under the rules, ballots under question will be marked for examination by the PET. Final reduction or addition of votes may only take place after the tribunal has ruled on the objections and claims and after reception of evidence of the parties. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Miguel Hill.
4 Malacanang officials are being considered as senatorial bets under the PDP Laban for the 2019 elections. Special Assistant to the President Christopher Lawrence Bongo, Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque, Presidential Advisor on Political Affairs Francis Tolentino, and Assistant Secretary Esther Margot Uzon are among the 20 names being considered by the ruling party's senatorial lineup. Senate President Aquilino Pimentel III said that aside from himself, others being considered for inclusion in the 12-man senatorial slate include himself and 5 other senators up for re-election, namely Senators Grace Poe, Cynthia Villar, Nancy Binay, J.V. Ejercito, and Sunny Angara. Also up for consideration are 2 newcomers, music icon Freddie Aguilar and journalist Jiggy Manicad, who are both PDP Laban members. He said they would conduct surveys to find out the chances of those in the list and hope to finalize a slate by September. However, he said that the party would defer the final decision to President Rodrigo Duterte, who is the chairman of PDP Laban.
The Supreme Court will decide on the quo warranto petition seeking to nullify the appointment of Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno in May. Acting Chief Justice Antonio Carpio said the court hopes to finish the proceedings by the end of this month. The High Court has scheduled a special en banc session on May to come up with a ruling on the quo warranto case. Sereno spokesperson Jocelyn Dainla decried the supposed rush of the Supreme Court in deciding on the petition. She said that the SC en banc is supposed to be on break after its summer session in Baguio and is scheduled to resume on June 5. She added that the SC has not even heard the side of any one of the interveners.
Senator Joel Villanueva on Thursday welcomed President Rodrigo Duterte's plan to certify Senate Bill number 1116, or the proposed End of Endo Act, as a priority bill. Villanueva says the move will help in the passage of a new law governing endo, the practice of ending unemployment 1 month short of regularization. Ending the practice was among the campaign promises of President Duterte. Duterte's certification would fast-track the passage of the End of Endo bill in the Senate, as the House of Representatives has already passed its own version last January 29. Villanueva meanwhile said that they are still hoping that President Duterte would still issue an executive order on endo. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said that the president is leaving it up to the Congress to pass a law. Roque said that the palace is taking the position of Labor Secretary Sylvester Bello, who said that legislation is more effective than an EO.
Still to come, Grab plans to appeal the suspension of its 2 peso travel time charge. Suspected narco politicians are reported to be running for barangay posts this year. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Waranto petition.
Boracay environmental violation.
Tax reform for acceleration and inclusion of trade.
Overcrowding, sewerage problem, even traffic. If only the Boracay Island Master Development Plan of 1990 was implemented, then we wouldn't have the problem we are dealing with today. The Master Plan, a project of the Department of Tourism, was adopted. Unfortunately, it was never implemented. Fast forward to today, the DOT sees the temporary total closure as an imperative action to save the island, a move that is supported by most of the stakeholders. The airline companies vowed to support the initiative and pledged to facilitate rebookings minus the charges. So if the original flight plan falls on the dates covered by the closure, the airline will rebook without collecting fees. Cruise companies pledged to cushion the impact by diverting trips to other destinations such as Palawan and Ilocos Norte. During the closure, the Tourism Infrastructure Enterprise Zone Authority, or TIEZA, will go full blast in the construction of the 1.1 billion peso flood mitigation project. This will be complemented by trainings on local guiding, eco-guiding, tourism innovation and self-reinvention techniques, festival management, farm tourism operations, foreign language training, emergency, basic, and advanced first aid courses, trainings for divers and instructors, and trainings for safety practices for those manning activities such as parasailing, speedboating, parao sailing, and zip lines. Once the rehabilitation process is completed, the DOT on its part vows a stricter and swifter accreditation process with a beefed-up monitoring system to ensure that establishments will reflect the world-renowned Filipino service.
Grab Philippines will appeal the suspension of its 2 peso per minute travel charge, saying its drivers and riders will suffer without it. Here's our report.
Grab Philippines will ask the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board to reconsider its order suspending the 2 peso per minute travel charge to its riders. Grab maintained that the travel duration rate is in accordance with the 2015 order of the Department of Transportation that allows transportation network companies to set their own fare rates. Grab country head Brian Koo said drivers would not earn a sustainable income and would be forced to quit their jobs if the travel charge is stopped. This will lead to longer waiting time for the riders, causing fare prices to increase drastically while other passengers from far locations may be left unallocated. Koo also said that Grab had presented its fare structure, including the 2 peso per minute charge, in a technical working group meeting with the LTFRB in July 2017, after implementing the charge the previous month. The LTFRB suspended Grab's travel time charge, saying there was no mention of any such rate when it released its order on the fare structure of TNCs on December 27, 2016. The December 27, 2016 order stipulates that TNCs, such as Grab, should impose a flag down rate of 40 pesos, with an additional rate of 10 to 14 pesos per kilometer. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez proposes a suggested retail price on well-milled rice to provide consumers with an affordable alternative to NFA rice. Lopez said well-milled rice is the cheapest among commercial rice varieties at around 39 pesos per kilo and the closest in price terms to NFA rice at 27 and 32 pesos per kilo. He added that the government is keen on setting the SRP at 30 pesos per kilo. The Department of Trade and Industry and the Department of Agriculture observed that some commercial rice varieties are selling for more than 60 pesos per kilogram. Agriculture Secretary Emmanuel Piñol said that since the government does not impose SRPs on rice, this allows retailers to set their own prices. Prices of commercial rice have gone up since NFA rice stocks have been decreasing.
More than 20 barangay officials allegedly involved in illegal drugs in Central Visayas are reportedly seeking re-election in the barangay polls. The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency confirmed through the Commission on Elections that these suspected narco-politicians have already filed their certificates of candidacy. PDEA 7 Director Emerson Margates said these officials have been allegedly receiving protection money from drug pushers in their respective barangays. In the meantime, PDEA 7 will continue to monitor the activities of these people, especially now that they need funds for their campaign. Margate also urged the people to be more vigilant of the activities of these suspected narco-politicians and advised constituents not to vote them. He added that village officials who have not done anything to address the drug problem in their barangays do not deserve to be re-elected as well.
The Department of Environment and Natural Resources issued eviction notices to 75 business owners in Coron, Palawan. The business owners are only given 30 days to remove their structures on the waters of Coron Bay and along its shoreline, which are part of the 3-meter no-build zones in urban areas. Engineer Roman Legaspi, head of Task Force Coron, said the law is clear that structures should not be built in the easement zones. The airing establishments include restaurants, dive shops, laundry shops, hotels, and boarding houses. Those who receive the notices have businesses located in Barangays Tagumpay, Poblacion 1, Poblacion 3, and Poblacion 5. Barangay Tagumpay is classified as timberland area where occupation is prohibited within a zone of 40 meters. The rest of the area is classified as urban barangay zones. Legaspi also said that infringement of the easement zone and ensuring that businesses strictly follow environmental laws are on the major concerns in Coron.
The newly installed Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Haro Iloilo reiterates his call against the building of a casino in Boracay. Archbishop Jose Romeo Lasso believes Boracay will continue developing even without a casino. The Archbishop, who was appointed as the Bishop of Calibo, Aklan, by St. Pope John Paul II, says Boracay should stay as it is. He says while he understands the need for the island resort to be cleaned, putting a casino will destroy the environment and the healthy lifestyle of the people. President Rodrigo Duterte had scrapped the plan of building a casino in the island resort. Environment Secretary Roy Cimatu also said that he is against the operation of casino. The 69-year-old Archbishop was the Bishop of San Jose Town in Antique before being appointed by Pope Francis as the new head of the Archdiocese last February 14. Up next, the Philippine and U.S. military begin this year's Balikatan exercises. Villagers in Ilocos Norte celebrate Earth Day with the conservation of a local eco park. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Quo warranto petition.
Boracay environmental violation.
Tax reform for acceleration and inclusion of trade.
Dimitri Valencia's channel.
The Dalian company is confident that the China-made trains it sold to the Philippines will pass the weight testing by audit firm TUV Rhineland. The 48 Dalian coaches underwent testing at the MRT3 depot in Quezon City. Lee Depu, Dalian General Manager for Overseas Business, guarantees that the trains are safe and of high quality, which will benefit the commuting public. Transportation Undersecretary TJ Batan meanwhile said the weight testing is only a part of a long process to determine if the Dalian trains will be usable. TUV Rhineland is expected to finish its report next week, which will then be released by the Department of Transportation in May. The Dalian coaches, which were found to be unusable due to being overweight, were acquired by the previous administration for 3.8 billion pesos. Even if the trains pass the testing, the MRT3 will still require major upgrades such as power supply.
The joint military exercises of the AFP and U.S. military, or Balikatan, have begun with community engagements conducted in various parts of the country. Balikatan 2018 is set to open formally on May 7 with humanitarian civic action activities in Cagayan and Central Luzon. Filipino and American soldiers will build 2 classroom school buildings in Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Cagayan, and Isabela. Balikatan is a yearly joint exercises between the Philippine military and the U-Pacific Command, aiming to further regional security cooperation. The 34th Balikatan exercises will focus on mutual defense, humanitarian and disaster relief, and counterterrorism.
6 local teams will see action in the 9th Le Tour de Filipinas next month. Competing in the race are 7-Eleven Road Bike Philippines, the Philippine National Team, Bike Extreme PH, Go for Gold Cycling Team, Standard Insurance Navy Team, and CCN Super Team. The Filipinos will be up against riders from Iran, Australia, Mongolia, Thailand, South Korea, Malaysia, China, and Indonesia. Stage 1 will start from Quezon City to Palayan City in Nueva Ecija, while Stage 2 is a race from Cabanatuan City, Nueva Ecija to Bayongbong, Nueva Vizcaya. Riders will travel from Bambang, Nueva Vizcaya to Dagupan City, Pangasinan for Stage 3, while the final stage spans Lingayen, Pangasinan to Baguio City. Le Tour de Filipinas will run from May 20 to 23.
In celebration of Earth Day, a barangay in Ilocos Norte is launching a campaign to protect neighboring Pasuac Spring.
The Eco Park is being promoted as an alternative destination for tourists and nature lovers. Here is our report.
Officials and residents of Barangay Poblacion in Burgos, Ilocos Norte launched a campaign to save Pasuac Spring in celebration of this year's Earth Day. With the theme End Plastic Pollution, the celebration took place at the natural spring on Friday to further generate public awareness about caring for the environment. Noting that the local government is promoting the site as an alternative tourist destination, Poblacion Barangay Chief Joji Jimenez urged his constituents to help nurture and maintain cleanliness in the area. The event features a posh walk for Pasuac, tree planting, cleanup drive, symposium, putting up of signages, covenant signing, and budol fight. Every year, the village of Poblacion observes Earth Day, joining the worldwide celebration to demonstrate support for environmental protection. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Will,
Yes, Pia.
don't you just love looking at the pros and cons of things?
Yes, of course. It gives you 2 different ways of looking at things, and we at the PNA Newsroom are excited for a new show, right?
Right, and it's called Pros and Cons. So look out for that, guys.
Okay, and our first topics will be what are some of the possible things that are both informative and timely, such as the closure of Boracay and fake news. So, can I ask you, for Boracay first, are you pro or are you con?
I'm pro.
You're pro. Well,
I'm
actually,
pro.
I am too, because since I was a kid, I've been hearing that the sewage system in Boracay, and that was
Yes.
a long time ago. So from that time, and it was already a problem, I can just imagine how much bigger the
So
problem
it's about
is now.
time we do something about
yes,
it,
because
right?
even in our own homes, we clean at least once a year.
Correct, I
Sometimes
agree.
even more often.
So that makes you
Pro.
pro.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so let's take another look at today's top stories. The family of a fifth dengue vaccine-related fatality files criminal charges against health officials. President Duterte urges the Senate to certify as urgent its end of endo bill. Suspected narco politicians are reported to be running for barangay posts this year. And the Philippine and U.S. military begin this year's Balikatan exercises.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter.
For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news
and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm William Theo.
I'm Pia Roses Morato. Good day.